Hello, welcome to Movie Summaries. Today we are summarizing a 2020 action thriller movie called Rogue. Fair warning, there are spoilers in the summary. Enjoy, and be sure to subscribe to watch more videos weekly, and hit like. The movie begins with a group of wildlife trackers preparing a lioness for her death in a game farm in East Africa. The smugglers specialize in trafficking wild animals for exotic pet trade, and their body parts for traditional medicine. One of the men electrocutes the lioness inside its cage, and proceeds to take its body for further processing. Once inside the cage, the man realizes that the lioness is still alive. The lioness attacks him and kills him. The lioness then breaks free from the cage and attacks other poachers, avenging the death of her mates who were killed by them. The movie then cuts to the grasslands of East Africa. A woman named Samantha O'Hara and her group of mercenaries are spying on a group of terrorists from a distance. The terrorists are led by a man named Zalam, and they are affiliated with the Somali Islamic terror group, Al-Shabaab. Sam's mercenaries include the loyal, Elijah, the outgoing Joey and Bo, the confrontational, Mike Barasa, and the former jihadist, Pata. They've been tasked with conducting a rescue mission to retrieve Acelia Wilson, the teenage daughter of an American governor, for ransom. After assessing the situation and receiving the green signal from the mission control through a satellite phone, Sam and her team begin the rescue operation. They blow up a shed inside the compound, catching the terrorists by surprise and sending some of them flying. The mercenaries split into two groups, Rogue One and Rogue Two, as the terrorists scrambled to put out the fire. Rogue One, consisting of Sam, Pata, and Elijah, proceed to rescue the girl, while Rogue Two, consisting of Joey, Bo, and Mike, stay on standby to engage the terrorists. Sam and Elijah venture into the building, where Acelia is allegedly held. They quickly learn that they got the wrong building, and Sam questions Pata. He's equally surprised and swears he relayed the information he received from his contact correctly to her. They then scan the property for other buildings where the terrorists could have held the asset. After locating a possible building, Sam orders Rogue 2 to engage the enemy. Mike from Rogue 2 joins the Rogue 1, while Joey and Bo start shooting at the terrorists. An intense battle follows, and the terrorists start dropping like flies. Rogue 1 finds the girl caged inside the building. They also find Acelia's school friends, Chloe and Tessa, caged with her. As they free Acelia, Zalam figures out Sam's ruse and orders his surviving fighters to head towards the building to stop Rogue One from taking Acelia. Sam frees Acelia and orders the extraction team nearby to stand ready. As Sam prepares to leave with Acelia, Elijah suggests that they should also rescue Acelia's friends. However, Sam is not keen on saving Chloe and Tessa, as they are not included in their original plan, and they could slow the entire operation down. Sam is eventually forced to concede. She has a heart after all. Zalam and his men have blocked the only exit to the building and eventually set it on fire. Sam attaches an explosive on the wall, and as the getaway vehicle arrives, she blows up the wall to create an exit. Rogue One quickly rushes out of the building with the girls and gets on the rescue vehicles. They pick up Rogue 2 along the way. As they head to the extraction point, the mercenaries celebrate. Too soon, as the terrorists start chasing them in their vehicles. The extraction helicopter arrives, but it gets shot down by an RPG. Another intense gun battle follows, as the terrorists manage to kill two of the mercenaries. Soon, Sam and her group have to abandon their vehicles when they reach a dead end. A cliff, no less. Left with no choice, the group abandon their heavy equipment and jump into the river. The group finally shakes off Zalam and his militia. However, they come across a crocodile in the river, and it takes Chloe. They have also lost their satellite phone during the jump. After walking for a while, the group comes across the game farm from earlier in the movie. Sam sends Joey and Bo to find the owners, but they learn that the property is abandoned. They decide to stay in the farm for the night. Sam, Elijah, Pata, and Mike split into two groups and head out to patrol the camp for radio equipment. Mike is still puzzled about finding the camp abandoned, while Pata speculates that the owner could have fled because of Al-Shabaab. Sam and Elijah come across a VHF radio equipment, but are not able to operate it without power. They start looking for the generator and come across a building with lion skin and bones and a bunch of dead poachers. They finally realize that they are in a lion farm, whose occupants were killed by lions. Sam wonders out loud where the lions went, and Elijah speculates that the lions must have gone back to the bushes. They then proceed to head back to the main house. Sam gets preoccupied, radioing the information to the second patrol team. After finishing talking, Sam finds Elijah missing and spots his torch on the ground. Here we go. She looks around and finds Elijah's dead body. Just as she begins to mourn her friend's death, she hears the lioness's growl from the bushes. She looks up and notices the animal gearing to lunge at her. Sam shoots at the animal and scares it away. The bullet alarms Cecilia and the others at the main house. They quickly run for cover, and Bo ventures out to investigate. Bo comes across a group of friendly elephants and lets his guard down. When he turns around, he notices the lioness and shoots at it. However, he misses his shot, and the lioness fatally mauls him. Hearing Bo's scream, Joey rushes out and finds a fatally wounded Bo. Sam, Potta, and Mike also arrive and carry Bo into the main house. They give him a special lollipop for the pain and treat his wounds. They also sing a cringy, off-key BSB song to keep Bo from closing his eyes. Meanwhile, Zalam and his men pick up on the Mercenaries trail and head towards the game farm. After getting Bo to a stable condition, Sam makes a plan to look for the generator and get the radio working. Mike is skeptical about stepping out of the house without enough weapons and ammunition, but they have no other choice. Sam suggests using fire to keep the lioness away, but Potter reveals it will only attract the lioness. With no better option, the group makes DIY spears for their defense. Before venturing out to find the generator, Potter advises the group to not run from the lioness, as it will only make it attack them. Mike climbs on top of a watchtower to keep an eye on the animal, with a faulty binocular. Sam and Joey look for the generator together. While Potter becomes a one-man army, Mike soon notices the lioness near Sam and Joey and tries to warn them. The duo freeze right where they are and await further information. But Mike's binoculars stop working. The binoculars start working again, but the lioness has disappeared. Sam and Joey split and continue their search. Mike's shitty binoculars stop working again. While trying to fix it, he drops one of its cells and it falls off the tower. He quickly gets down the watchtower and starts looking for the cell. He eventually finds it. However, Mike is then attacked by the lioness and mauled to death. An unaware Sam spots the generator, while Joey finds the fuel. Joey brings the fuel over, and the two try to turn on the generator to get it to work. Soon, Potta finds Mike's body and relays the news to Sam. The rescue operation must go on, and Sam contacts the mission control. She requests an emergency extraction, but she is told that they can't be extracted until dawn. Sam relays the news to everyone. Potta is worried about the delay in extraction, as he is sure that Zalam won't stop till he gets Cecilia, as she gives him power over her father, and as an extension, giving him control over the entire region. When Tassa asks Potta how he knows so much about the terrorists, he reveals that he used to be an Al-Shabaab terrorist. Tessa grabs a gun on the table and points it at him, but Joey grabs the gun back and tries to calm the girls down. Potta defends himself and says he is not evil, and he would never hurt little girls. This only enrages Tessa, as she makes Cecilia show the marks on her body from the lashings they received under captivity. Potta then reveals that he was young and naive when he joined the terror group. He wanted to quit the group much earlier than he did, but they threatened to kill him and his family. He also reveals that Zalam came from England and brainwashed people in his village. After Potta left Al-Shabaab, Zalam killed Potta's children and his family. After the sob fest, Potta goes out to keep watch, and Sam uses the time to bond with Tessa. The latter reveals that she is in Africa because her parents wanted to make her humble by sending her to an expensive international school in Africa. Meanwhile, Sam reveals that she was sent to military school when she was 13. When she turned 16, she underwent basic training, after which she joined the Rangers Academy. Potta suddenly comes barging in and tells Sam that Zalam and his men have already arrived outside the camp and surrounded it from all sides. Sam shuts the door and orders the girls to hide. Meanwhile, Joey finds a Lee Enfield rifle and starts celebrating, but he suddenly gets attacked by the lioness. The girls panic, and Sam tells them to run out. Celia goes to the radio room, but loses Tess halfway there. Sam courageously distracts the lioness and lures her outside. The lioness almost gets to her, but she hides under a jeep. Although deeply wounded, Joey has survived the attack and heads out with the rifle to help Sam. As he aims the rifle at the animal, an explosion lights up the sky and scares away the animal. The enemy has arrived, and they kind of copy-pasted the entry from the Team Rogue from earlier in the movie. Sam realizes what's up and rushes to Joey's side. She asks him if he is up for the fight, and he replies that he is always ready. Joey then covers for Sam, while she runs to the radio room. After reaching there, Sam learns that Tessa is not with Cecilia. She tells Cecilia to stay in the communications room before venturing out again to look for the other girl. She also radios Joey to keep an eye out for Tessa. The bad guys get to Tessa before the two. They proceed to take her with them, but Sam shows up and neutralizes the militants. Sam and Tessa then attempt to get into the comms room, but Zalam and other terrorists start shooting at them. The duo hide and come up with a plan. Sam tells Tessa to run for the comms room as she covers for her. Tessa is hesitant to expose herself to the line of fire, but Sam convinces her to trust her. Tessa makes a run for the radio room, while Sam covers for her, but halfway through, Sam runs out of ammo. Fortunately, Potta shows up and takes down some of the terrorists, allowing Tessa to safely reach the comms room. Tessa proceeds to barricade themselves inside, but Alyssa suggests that they should go out and put up a fight because if they keep sitting like ducks. However, their plan goes south when they're spotted. The girls split as Celia chases into the main house. After a long cat-and-mouse chase, the enemy eventually gets to her, but she puts up a fight and beats them to death with a bar. The prey became the predator. Outside, Pata confronts his old enemy, Masak, Zalam's second-in-command, and the man who executed his family. The two men put down their rifles and fight. Masak overpowers Pata and taunts him about his dead family, calling him a coward for letting them die. He then proceeds to behead Pata with a machete. When Sam shows up and shoots the terrorist in his leg, Pata then gets up and shoots Masak dead with the rifle, finally avenging his family's death. Pata then collapses on the ground and begins to give in to his wound. Sam tries to help him, but Pata tells her that he has already fulfilled his last wish and tells her to go on. Sam bids him a final goodbye and continues fighting. Bo walks up to his wounded buddy Joey, sitting by a shed outside. Some terrorists show up and proceed to kill the two, but the Lioness appears out of nowhere and takes the terrorist out. Joey begins to celebrate, but only to realize that Bo gave in to his wound and silently passed away by his side. Zalam eventually finds Tessa and takes her hostage. When he threatens to behead the girl, Sam surrenders herself. Sam agrees to hand Celia over and looks for her throughout the camp. She finds the girl traumatized outside the main house after having killed a man. Sam tells her that she has a plan. Sam then returns to Zalam and tells him that Acelia is in the barn. Zalam orders her to take him there. On the way, Zalam reveals that he wanted Acelia because her father stole from him. Acelia's father also operates a wildlife trafficking business, and he puts Zalam out of business to have a monopoly on the trade. After reaching the barn, Sam convinces him to let Tessa go. He agrees, and he goes inside the barn with Sam. Once inside, Acelia and Tessa shut the door behind them. Enraged, Zalam reminds Sam that he has the gun and the power. Sam says, "Hold up, bro," and the Lioness shows up. Zalam tries to shoot the Lioness, but she gets to him and mauls him to death. After finishing him off, the Lioness turns to Sam, but decides to spare her after hearing her cubs that Joey found inside the shed, mewing outside. It seems this is why the Lioness stayed back in the farm, instead of running off into the woods. The sun begins to rise, and Sam, Joey, and the two girls watch the rescue helicopter arrive. What an ending, right? Hope you enjoyed our summary. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos weekly. Thanks.